You're listening to the Snob OS podcast, the podcast for Apple snobs. Yo, this is Terrance Gaines, aka Brother Tech.
And this is Nica Montford, aka Tech Savvy Diva.
And welcome back to another episode of the Snob OS cast, the show for Apple snobs, where we talk all things Apple and then some. We want to welcome you back to another episode of the Snob OS show. This is episode 357 of our show. And as per usual, I want to thank all the people who have been listening thus far. Definitely want to send a shout out to our snobists, those who are supporting the show financially. We will definitely want to say a special shout out to them. If you want to become a financial supporter, please go to patreon.com/snoboscast. And as a special thank you for becoming a Patreon supporter, we will give you exclusive content that you will not find on this show and get to listen to the show live. And as a result, you get it a little bit earlier than everybody else. So that is our little thank you for being a financial supporter. Again, we couldn't do this without you. And we want to send a special shout out to you. So getting right into the show, we're going to talk a little bit about the astronauts sharing their iPhone photos. We're going to talk about a better WhatsApp CarPlay experience, talking about Anthropic and Apple teaming up in a way that it makes sense. We're going to talk about how AI can't keep track of time. I thought this was hilarious. And for the culture and the hookup, we've got a founder who has created a pretty dope app that I think you should know about it. So we're going to get right into the show. We always start with the lowdown. And like I mentioned at the top, the Artemis 2 is, I think, on its way back home, after circling both the Earth and its mission to actually orbit the moon. I think they're on their way back, but they are also bringing gifts, and they are actually showing photos taken from the spacecraft using an iPhone 17 Pro Max. The space agency has released a series of photographs from the Artemis 2 mission to the moon taken by the astronauts aboard the Orion vessel. And while many of these were taken with DSLR cameras, 3 of the most striking images were captured on an iPhone 17 Pro Max, making perhaps the strongest possible case for its position as the best iPhone for photography. So I don't know if you're following this Artemis 2 space thing. What do you think? What do you think the benefits or the positive that will come with, well, specifically, of course, for Apple, but what do you think the benefits are in general for photographers who feel like they need a special camera to take dope pictures when we've got astronauts out here taking pictures of the Earth with an iPhone that we can go to the store and buy tomorrow?
Yeah, so I have been following it because, like we talked about last week, they were using the immersive video to show the launch.
Right.
And so I have been following it, and because I've been following the pilot as well. It's a Black guy. He's posted pictures of his family and his kids. So it's been really cool to see the whole thing kind of unfold. And then the way this mission is going, they were able to get shots of the back of the moon. They took if you think of the infinity symbol, that's basically how they left Earth. They circled it a couple times to make sure that everything was okay before they took the long route, and they went and they did like I said, like an infinity symbol around the moon. So they were able to get images of the moon from all sides. And I don't know if that has been done before, because they made sure to highlight that they were able to do this kind of infinity symbol around the moon. And the shots have been stunning. I've been looking at them and it's just like, wow. And this is a huge marketing opportunity for Apple. That's free. They didn't have to pay for none of this. This is all like, hey, we shot this on an iPhone. I suspect we may see some of that kind of folded into WWDC when they do kind of like the when they do the keynote, how they usually kind of highlight when things like happen with Apple Watch. If someone car careens off the side and it's like Apple Watch saved me, I think this is one of those things where it shows that yes, you can have all these fancy cameras and yes, they are necessary in certain situations, but also you can take, you know, 1200, 1300, depending on the configuration iPhone into space, which is an infinite, domain, and get shots of the earth and the moon that look so crisp and so good that it's just like, wow, these are some really breathtaking images. So I think it's a great opportunity for Apple to get some free promo on what these iPhones and these cameras can actually do.
And the pictures that they are highlighting in this report or this website that I see, the pictures that are shot on the iPhone are almost like a perspective look. They're not, when we talk about this story, we expect to see like a clear, uninstructed, perfectly focused, dialed in picture of the moon or the earth, depending on where they was taken. Actually, what these pictures are more of a perspective. So like imagine me and Nica are in the spaceship or the shuttle, and Nika's looking out the window of the earth or of the moon. I'm taking a picture of her looking out the window at the earth or the moon. So those, I think, are the pictures that the pictures that, from what I can tell, are the pictures that are shot using an iPhone 17 Pro Max. In my opinion,
It's like a vacation picture, right?
right. It's like a vacation picture of you looking out the window of an airplane of, the beach or the ocean or the resort or whatever or the airport that you're about to land on. But take the airport out and put the earth
The earth.
in. Right. Which I think I like those pictures better because they are non
They aren't
what's the
curated.
yes, that's
It's
the
not
word.
like a
They're not
stage or
curated, right?
anything.
It's like a picture I would take
Yeah.
if I was on a space shuttle taking a
Looking at
picture of
her.
somebody looking out the window, looking at the earth, right?
Yeah.
So I think those are the pictures that are being taken with the iPhone 17 Pro Max. So I don't want to get anybody under the impression that, they got outside of the shuttle and perfectly framed the moon or the earth or whatever the case may be. But, some good pictures and, like you said, some new good publicity nonetheless. But I wanted to read this little clip here. According to 9 to 5 Mac, the devices, the iPhones, had to pass several checks to ensure they were safe to use on the vessel, including checks for moving parts and glass that could shatter. The devices are unable to connect to Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. Of course, there's no Wi-Fi or Bluetooth out in space.
Space.
But just wanted to point out that it wasn't just as easy as one of the astronauts just shoving an iPhone in a pocket of their spacesuit. This had to go through checks, things like that. So Apple, while free publicity, low budget, I'm pretty sure they were involved as well, just to make sure everything was copacetic before they put them in the shuttle to go to the moon.
And that's another, marketing point. The iPhone is safe enough to go on a space shuttle in
Yep.
space.
Yep. They didn't take anything out. They didn't add anything. They didn't reinforce anything. They just had to make sure it was good and it passed the checks.
Yep.
All right. So that's all that I want to do for that story. Let's move on to the next one. It looks like there are people out there who use WhatsApp enough to where Apple improved the CarPlay experience for iPhone users. So basically, here's kind of like the basics. So think of like messages in CarPlay. If you press the messages button, you can either start a voice text or you can kind of look through your text messages. WhatsApp kind of similar, resembles more like a native CarPlay experience. For instance, a new contact info interface that lets users view profile details of each contact, a call history interface showing recent calls, including whether they were incoming, outgoing, or missed, and support for favorite contacts through a dedicated tab. So basically, I just wanted to put that out there because I know there are a lot of people who use WhatsApp on a regular basis. I use it on a regular basis for group chats. And until now, the experience has it has been very, very limited. Now with this new CarPlay experience for WhatsApp, I get a little bit more functionality, but again, with the caveat of not being a distraction, because the one thing you don't want to do is be distracted by WhatsApp in your car and get into an accident, right?
And maybe that's why they made it so slimmed down for CarPlay, to not like get people to lose focus or get caught up in like the little animations and that type of stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, but you get a little bit more information, a little bit more functionality to be able to send out messages, respond to messages. Primarily, it's still going to be voice, so you're not driving and then also trying to
Happen.
type a message. It's clearly all voice, but at least you get a little bit more functionality, especially for dedicated WhatsApp users. All right, moving on to the next story. Anthropic and Apple partner to make the web safer. And I'm just going to read this little clip. Anthropic announced a new initiative called Project Glasswing that includes Apple, among others, as a partner. As a part of Glasswing, Anthropic is sharing a preview of its newly unveiled Claude Mythos model with select partners, like I mentioned, Apple, a bunch of other partners. Let me find some of these. Let me find some of these other partners here. Hold on one second here. Let's see. It is Amazon Web Services, Anthropic, Apple, of course, Broadcom, Cisco, CrowdStrike, Google, JP Morgan Chase, the Linux Foundation, Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Palo Alto Networks are all a part of this campaign. And basically, what it's doing is this Mythos model preview. Basically, it's used to find thousands of high severity vulnerabilities, including some in every major operating system and web browser, giving the rate of AI progress. It will not be long, of course, before such capabilities proliferate, potentially beyond actors who are committed to deploying them safely. Fallout for economies, public safety, national security could be severe. Project Glasswing is an urgent attempt to put these capabilities to work for defensive purposes. So I can't think of another program. I'm pretty sure maybe they exist, but none as publicized as this effort for responsible and ethical AI. One of my gripes against AI is we're moving too fast. We're moving too fast. There's no regulation. There's no ethical. We talked about how OpenAI was nonprofit and altruistic. They flipped on a whole 180, and now they are for profit.
Yeah.
And my gripe has been, everybody's looking at how to make more money, how to cut costs, how
Take
to.
advantage of the system while we don't have guardrails.
Right, right. And this is not just big companies. This is everybody. You go
Yeah.
on YouTube and everybody is teaching you how to use AI for some shape, form, or fashion. I can't think of too many stories to where we're like, hey, these groups are doing this to make AI more responsible. Hey, these groups are doing this to make AI more ethical. Hey, this group is doing this, or this organization is doing this to put more guardrails or give you a better understanding of the possible fallbacks or pitfalls of AI. So, this being one of the few stories that I've seen that includes Apple and some of these major players who are probably figuring out how to implement AI into their own companies. We'll see what the fallout of that is. But at the very least, it's nice to know that companies if just for PR, again, I don't put nothing past nobody,
Right.
but just for PR, they're partnering together and saying, hey, we can also use AI ourselves to, at the very least, reveal vulnerabilities in our current company infrastructure
Right.
that we can then turn around and try to make the world a better place at the
And
very
they do
least.
have these ethical AI consortiums that come up with all these guidelines and rules and, you know, nice to haves or what it should be. The difference is with a lot of those companies, they're coming up with these things, but implementing them is the real issue. You
Because they're
can
on the
come up
outside looking in.
because they're outside, they're separate groups, and you have to get buy-in from these companies on that. And what this is doing is actually taking that approach and actually
Inside Out.
right and putting and getting those guardrails and putting it into something that we actually use. So I think this is a great next step. We still have a long way to go, but I think this is progress towards making sure that this thing doesn't, completely go off the rails.
Right. And they're doing it, you know, so people can poke at it. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure all these partners are poking at it to see what they can unveil or what they can find. In some cases, these vulnerabilities have, quote, survived decades of human review and millions of automated security tests. So at the very least, we're using AI to, or these companies could, in theory, use AI to be more secure
To
before they
root out
then
some of this stuff.
before it rolls out to the general public. So maybe we can avoid all these hacks
Yeah.
and all these data breaches and all these leaks that we've been repeatedly talking about over the past, 10 years almost.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So that is going to do it for the lowdown. We're going to move into second string. And there is a influence. Well, I don't call it a content creator. I won't call him an influencer. There is a content creator that I follow on Instagram. And basically what he does is he basically, speaking of vulnerabilities, basically what he does is shows some of the vulnerabilities of, chat gpt is the one that he uses, and it's very simple stuff like how many r's are in strawberry, and the video is watching his chat gpt like get it wrong, and he's like, are you sure there are these many R's in strawberry? And like the AI's like, I'm sure, I'm sure, I'm sure, I'm sure, no matter how he rephrases it, the videos are him or of him showing how AI chat GPTs are not as intelligent as we think they are. Right. So this latest one, he had a video of saying, hey, chat GPT, can you track time? And ChatGPT says, yes, I've got that capability. Unlike some other AI, I've got the skills that can track time. So the dude says, all right, cool. Track how long it takes me to run a mile. And ChatGPT says, all right, let me know when you're gone. So the dude says, and start. And he says, and I'm back. And he says, and I'm back, like within 3 seconds. And he says, ChatGPT, tell me how fast I ran. And ChatGPT confidently says your mile run was 7 minutes and so on, so on, so on. He's like, are you sure? Because like, can you accurately tell time? And ChatGPT's like, yes, I did it. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna do it again. And go. And I'm back. What was my time? And ChatGPT says, oh, it was 6 minutes and so on, so on, so on, so. And he's like, are you sure? And I am positive. So long story short, this video gets back to Sam Altman, and he's like watching this video, and I'll just read this clip. It says, Altman offers a kind of shocking timeline for the groundbreaking feature of counting. Maybe another year before something like that works well, talking about ChatGPT being able to keep track of time. Per Sam Altman, ChatGPT's voice model doesn't have the capability of starting a timer or keeping track of time, but we will add the intelligence into the voice model, he says, right? So that's his response. Somebody shows him this video. He kind of nervously chuckles and says, yeah, we are working on that. That really is not a feature yet. We're working on it. It'll get there, right? So then the dude sees his response, and Sam Altman saying that's a known issue, and then he asked ChatGPT again. It's like, this is your founder, right? This is the dude who created you, right? He says, you can't keep track of time. ChatGPT still says, I don't know what he's talking about. I've got that feature. I can keep track of time. So he does it again. So I thought it was hilarious, but also kind of telling in that we have witnessed and demonstrated all the things you can do with AI and GPTs, or whatever you want to, chatbots, I call them. And you would assume that something as simple as being able to, a timer, right, would be something that's built in. But there's a back and forth as far as a disagreement
Mm-hmm.
between Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI, who makes ChatGPT, and the actual GPT saying, "Oh, I can do this," and the founder saying, "No, you can't." And OpenAI is like, "I can't." ChatGPT is like saying, "I can." So I thought it was interesting. Is that a hallucination? Also, in addition, is that just something quirky, or is this something we should actually be concerned about?
So as I was looking through this and as you were talking, to me it sounds like it is a hallucination.
Okay.
And a lot of times people don't really understand what a hallucination means.
Mm-hmm.
What it means is these chatbots, LLMs, they are learned from training data, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're basically absorbing everything
Mm-hmm.
from the internet. And what happens is sometimes there's a gap in what is learned from the training data and what it actually displays. So instead of it saying, I can't do this
Mm-hmm.
or I don't know, it just fills in the blank. And it does it very confidently, like this guy just said. But what it essentially is doing is it doesn't have the data to
Mm-hmm.
give you that answer.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of it fills in that gap, it fills in
Mm-hmm.
that gap of data. Even though it doesn't know it, it's filling it in based on some other data that they've trained on outside of it. So in essence, it is a hallucination, but it also goes to functionality as well. It can be both things. It
Mm-hmm.
can not have the capability to do it, and it also can be a hallucination where in this case it's something that's completely fabricated. It's
Mm-hmm.
completely made up. It's no reasoning. There's no data behind it. You ask it a question, so it feels like it has to give you an answer,
Mm-hmm.
whether it is
Accurate.
accurate or not, because
Mm-hmm.
again it doesn't have that information in its quote unquote memory bank. It doesn't have data trained on that. It doesn't have information stored on that. So it's just going out there kind of making it up and filling in that blank with something that sounds kind of right.
Yeah, but what's puzzling with this story is you'll have to go back and watch the videos of the guy, prompting it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the video I saw, the guy asking flat out, ChatGPT, can you keep track of time?
Mm-hmm.
An hallucination to me would be, yeah, I can keep track of time. I can give it a shot, but maybe it misses the mark by a couple minutes, because whatever reason, right? And it says your mile was 7 minutes and 42 seconds when it was actually 8 minutes and 30 seconds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, well, wait a minute, my watch says my pace was 8 minutes and 30 seconds. Why are you telling me it's 7 minutes and 42 seconds?
Mm-hmm.
And it makes up an excuse as to
Mm-hmm.
why the number. To me, I thought that was a hallucination, right? But the fact that the dude asked him straight up, "Can you keep track of time?" His chat GBT says, "Yes, I can. I have that feature. I
Because
have
it
that
probably has that data that is
somewhere."
trained on to say, yes, I know how to calculate time.
Mm-hmm.
In theory, it can calculate time, but can it calculate your specific time?
Right,
And a
right.
lot of times, I've said on this show before, I use Claude as
Mm-hmm.
my quote unquote thinking partner. And when it gives me some information back, a lot of times I ask it, what is your confidence level in the accuracy of this information?
Mm-hmm.
And then what it'll do is it'll go and it will find the source data and come back with that. And a lot of times it'll give me a percentage. I'm 9 out of 10 confident. I'm 8 out of 10 confident. It'll give me the reasons why. And it'll
Mm-hmm.
give me the source data that links back to
Why I came up with
what
that decision.
why it came up with that decision. So
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those things where it's really important for people to understand with AI, you can't just take it for what it says. A lot
Right.
of times you have to have follow-up questions. You have to question it and investigate. And it's one of those things where people just they ask it a question, whatever the answer it comes back with, they just go with that without reviewing it, without fact checking it. These things aren't meant to just completely take over the way you think. And a lot of people are using it that way to say, oh, I don't have to think about this. This thing can do it for me. And it can, but it might not be great. And I know for me with Claude, because there are certain chats that I keep open because it has, some images, it has some background data that I need to have, to follow up questions, maybe a couple days later. And what I've noticed is I think it has to do potentially with the persistent state of the chat, because I'll go back and I'll ask it and I'll say something and it'll give me a timeline. I'm like, wait a minute, this is way off. And so I think if you use the same chat every single day, it tracks the time and date of when you're actually in it. But if a couple days go by, it still thinks it's in that same timeline
Right.
that you were before. And so what if I'm, if I don't use ChatGPT for a couple days, the first thing I'll do is today is Wednesday, April 8th, 2026 at 6:29 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just to level set it so it understands
There's some time has passed.
time has passed and this is where we are. So it doesn't kind of keep, going in that same instance. So it's one of those things where I think, I always say it's important to know these tools and what you're using and what you're doing. They aren't fail proof. They aren't 100% accurate, and you can't treat them that way.
All right. All right. Yeah. I just thought it was interesting that the thing was like, yes, I can do it. And the CEO is like, no, it's a known issue. It can't do it. But the thing is like, yeah, no, actually, I can, so I'm just concerned. Well, I'm curious as to if something as simple as this can either trip up or, like you said, give the impression of accurate information. And in reality, it's not the case. Of course, what else? Is it confidently, telling us that we're taking at face value or whatever that is complete, not just inaccurate,
But
completely falsified. All right. All right. So that is it for Second String. We're going to move into For the Culture. And I think a lot of content creators have been drawn to this specific app. The app is called Dual Shot Recorder. And the content creator, Derek Downey Jr., who himself is a content creator, has developed this new app called Dual Shot Recorder that, like, straight up solves a problem. And it does it so simplistically that I don't understand why nobody else said, hey, why didn't I think of that? Right. So let me give you the breakdown.
Okay.
Dual Shot Recorder app is basically what it does. It allows storytellers to record both in 9:16 and 16:9 video formats simultaneously, making it easier to post across YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. As we know, YouTube, even though they've got shorts to where they film 9:16, most people are going on YouTube to watch widescreen 16:9 videos, right? Most people are going on TikTok and Instagram to watch videos in 9:16 or vertical. So I don't have to turn my phone around to watch videos. I can hold them upright. The problem with that is for content creators trying to get a
Shot.
9:16 shot when you originally recorded in 16:9 is impossible, especially in our case. Impossible for when we're doing like a podcast to where we have to record in 16:9 because it's two of us side by side. But we also want to put this content on YouTube Shorts. We want to put it on YouTube. Instagram. We want to put it all these other places that primarily are 9:16. Now, I'm not saying 16:9 won't work on TikTok and won't work on Instagram. It looks much better when it's vertical, right? So this founder, who is a Black content creator, Derek Downey Jr., has created this app that, flew to the #1 spot on the App Store. And it ain't free, right? It's like $10, which is like $1,000 in app.
That's expensive in app
Right.
world.
In app world, $10 for an app is expensive, but
Yes.
the utility and the simplicity of the app is almost a no-brainer,
Mm.
especially if you are a content creator, especially if you're a content creator that is cross posting on multiple different platforms,
Which most
which
content creators
which
are.
most people are, so again, the app is like $9.99, and people are downloading this thing left and right. I downloaded it because it's like,
I'm about to go get it once we get finished with this show.
and the reason, and again, the reason why it's so, in my opinion, the reason why it's so advantageous, because it's simple. It don't have a bunch of settings. There ain't a bunch of buttons everywhere. When you open up the app, it shows you the 16 by 9 version, and in the corner, it'll show you the 9 by 16 version. So when you're recording, you can keep both. You can whatever your focus is, you can keep that in the center, whether you're widescreen or vertical. And when you're done, you click save, or the click close. It saves two different copies, the 9
Of
by
the
16
same video.
version
Nice.
and the 16 by 9 version, and it looks like it doesn't look no different than you shooting off your iPhone using the, or Android using the, because it is for Android as well, using the rear facing camera. And it's just like, duh. Why nobody came
Why
up with
did it
this?
come up this before?
Right.
And the thing
Why?
is,
Go ahead.
it's so funny that a lot of the most popular apps come out of necessity, right? The not even apps, the most, popular things come out of necessity. He
Mm-hmm.
probably got so tired of having to, you know, format and tweak all of his videos.
Well, what
He's
he
like,
would
why
do,
can't I
real
do it?
quick, what he would do is he would have two phones. He show, like in an Instagram post, he would show his
Oh,
setup. He would have a tripod with a thing, and he'd have one phone like this, and then right next to it, he'd have another phone like this, and then trying to, sync and coordinate and all that stuff was, clearly
because it's
causing him
like,
grief.
where do I look if I got two different phones? Let me make sure I know exactly where I'm looking.
Right, right. So I just want to read his Instagram post. He says, "My app, Dual Shot Recorder, just became the #1 paid app on the entire App Store." Do you hear me? Not just a category, but the entire .app .store, all within 12 hours of being released. Y'all, I'm running on fumes right now from the excitement. This is going to help so many content creators, entrepreneurs, and storytellers. Dual Shot was built to solve a problem I was facing every single day. I didn't know it would be received like this, but boy, y'all have shown up in a big way. Yes, more features are coming. Android versions on the way, which I could have swore I saw an Android app already, but don't quote me on that. I think it's there. Price will increase slightly at the end of this month. So if you know somebody this could help, send it to them. And if you're already used DualShock Recorder, I truly appreciate you leaving a review on the App Store. It'll help more people discover it. This has been a wild day. So grateful. And he shows like a picture of DualShock Recorder in the Apple App Store being the #1 paid app in the store. So definitely shout
I
out
love
for,
this.
yeah, definitely shout out to him for creating an app that solves a problem
That
that
everybody has.
that fills a need, and people see the value that they're willing to pay for it. Because a lot of times people will see the value of something, but be like, I don't know if
I'm
I
not
want,
paying
yeah,
9.99. I'm not paying 99 cents for that.
right. So this is like a problem, enough of a problem that people are willing to come out the pockets for. And very rarely not very rarely, app creators create free apps and then utilize the exposure and utilize the, whatever tools and resources to then use that to try to get compensation for their hard work. They'll use it to go get funding. They'll go use it to pitch to, venture capitalists or whatever. Dude created an app. He listed it in the App Store, and people pay him for his app. It's just as simple as that. So he ain't got to be stressed. And now, again, if he wants to go raise millions of billions of dollars, he probably could. He probably needs to, just to put himself on the map, because
And to make sure he keeps with scale, because the more people that download it,
the
more people
more
that
infrastructure
use it,
he'll need, so on
he'll
and so
need to
forth.
scale it up. Yeah.
Right. But one thing I wanted to
ain't got
notice
to.
is I found this story on Black Enterprise. Where I didn't find this story is in TechCrunch,
The Verge,
The Verge,
Engadget, nowhere.
Engadget, none of
9 to
these.
5 Mac, because this is a Mac app. I mean, it's an iPhone app, starting out, and it's talking about the iPhone App Store.
Nobody, unless I'm wrong, if you are listening to the sound of my voice and don't go do a search on TechCrunch and find it, I will 100% admit fault. But an app like this, with this much popularity, with this much usefulness, you would think would be all over the internet. It is not. So I'll leave that.
Make of that what you will.
I'll leave that what you will, right? But that was the point I was going to get to. Maybe he needs to go raise money just to stake his claim, right? Because people will imitate. They say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. I don't believe that. Nope. Imitation is the sincerest form of
this idea and
let me steal it and make millions off of it before you can get off the ground, right? So
what was the movie app that did the same thing? I forgot the name of it.
Yeah,
but I'm on a tangent.
Yeah, but he may be strategic to pitch this to raise money just so he can stake claim as one of the as the person who came up with this.
This is his idea. I hope he got the trademarks.
Right.
Hope he got the website domains, all the admin stuff that you have to do.
Right. And he says extra features are coming. I hope he keeps it simple, because a lot of apps will cram a lot of features into it
that you don't need. It's like, just give me, this is what I need.
And there's a such thing as too many options, right?
Yeah.
So this
and if you need some extra stuff, you could always drop it in Canva, drop it in Final Cut Pro. It's just like,
I mean, it's very simple.
Don't do too much.
As soon as you open the app, it shows you the 9:16 version, but it also in the box shows you the 16:9 version. You can switch between dual lens and single lens, so you don't have to shoot in dual lens. You can switch it to single and just do 9:16 or 16:9. But then once you hit stop and record, it'll ask you, do you want to save it? You save it, boom, it's there in those 2 copies. So I just thought that was dope, to where I wanted to highlight that for the culture. And speaking of highlighting something, we're going to move into the hookup. And my recommendation for the week is to go download the Dual Shot Recorder app, right? And the main features is it records in landscape and portrait videos at the same time. It's super easy to use. And something I thought that was dope when I actually went to look for the app in the App Store is it does not collect any personal data. I went to the App Store and looked at it, and it says it don't collect nothing. Most apps in the App Store will say it collects contacts. It wants to share it wants to access to your library. It wants all these other things. It says it does not collect it. Now, again, that may change based on scale, based on whatever the case may be, metrics, what have you. But at the time of me saying this, one of the benefits of using Dual Shot Recorder is it does not collect any data if you're concerned about something like that, which you very well should be. So that is my hookup for the week. Please go to Dual Shot Recorder. Go to the App Store, download Dual Shot Recorder app. Like I mentioned, it ain't free. It's $9.99. But if you are a content creator, or if you just struggle with how should I record a video, with this, you ain't got to worry about it. All right.
I'm downloading it right now.
Yep. All right. So that is my hookup for the week. And Nica, if you don't have anything, I think that'll do it for this week's show. Tell the folks where they can find you.
You can find me at Tech Savvy Diva everywhere.
And you can find me all over the internet at Brother Tech. That's BROTHATECH. To connect, comment, share, and support the show, you can go to our website. Go to snoboscast.com to get all the details, including the latest episodes, including to find out more information about us, and to support the show financially. So please go to snoboscast.com to do that. And until next week, we are out. Peace.
Bye, everybody.